Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content. With me, Chris Kane, and we are talking Dolphins. So let's start with the coaching search. We've mentioned Anthony Weaver has been interviewing for the Saints job, and I think it's the last head coaching job that hasn't been filled yet. And so there's kind of a pause, and we're like, well, he got interviewed, and what's the status? And so the Saints came out and said they're basically waiting until post draft to hire their coach, and all indications are they want Kellen Moore to be a coach. Makes sense. Kellen Moore, assistant in Dallas, assistant in Philly. Offenses in both places were very good. I think he's done a lot with the Philly offense. And he's a young guy, so they can probably like lowball him price wise. And I don't know why the Cowboys didn't want Kellen Moore. It seemed like he was a much better fit than Brian Schottenheimer. That's a different conversation for a different podcast. But I think Kellen was probably looking for that job and it didn't go down. And now that he's in the Super Bowl, he can't technically be doing interviews right now. So the reason they're waiting to do the hire is because it seems like we're waiting to just offer Kellen Moore the job. And as I said many times, I think this job is a dumpster fire. I think they're between 80 and 100 million over the cap. They could probably restructure some of that stuff to make it not as punitive, but they don't have any real hope. I don't think Derek Carr is a winner. I love Kamara, love a couple of guys on defense. I don't like that team. And if Anthony Weaver takes the job, I think it will be a possible one and done situation, like what happened to was it Weeks? He was Arizona's coach before Cliff Kingsbury got there. I don't remember his name now. I'm sorry, but he was there for a year. They won 3 games the year he got hired. I think they won 4 the year he was there, and they were like, "All right, you're out." And it's like, "Well, wait a minute." It's like, this team was awful. You didn't build me a roster, and if Weaver got the job, I think it would be a one and done situation. I don't think he would get hired again. I think he's better suited, and again, I'm biased, Dolphins, right? But I think it's better to wait for a halfway decent job. At least the money needs to be straight for a team. Like when the Commanders got Dan Quinn, they were like, "Oh yeah, they don't have a quarterback and whatever." It's like, yeah, but we're not bad at money. Like we can go out and acquire people. We had a number 2 pick in the draft. The Saints don't have a top 5 pick, and they have an expensive quarterback, and are really high over the cap. It doesn't make any sense to me. You're taking the job, you're basically signing up to be a head coach for a year, max 2, and then you're out of there. And then you're going to be like, oh yeah, that guy was, 7-24 as a coach, and now people think you're a terrible coach. And it's like, well, I wasn't that bad. It was, the situation was really bad. So it seems like barring Kellen Moore just saying straight up no to the job, and Mike McCarthy pulled his name out of the ring. I think they were leaning McCarthy early, especially when he just left Dallas. He was like, I'm going to get a job, F you to Dallas. And then McCarthy pulled his name out of it, which tells me that either the money wasn't right or he started looking at some of the logistics and was like, oh, this is a bad situation. I'd rather work on ESPN than be the head coach of the Saints. I mean, that's not a bad gig. You get paid decently and you get to just talk and not have to worry about, people firing you every other game. But it seems like Weaver will not be getting the job barring something crazy, which means he'll be with the Dolphins for at least another year. There will be 5 or 6 openings next year, and then he'll be back in the cycle, and we'll see what happens. But fingers crossed that we keep him for one more year. So we did a story probably 2 weeks ago about Tyreek Hill possibly going to the Patriots because the Patriots, one, have a ton of money. Like them and the Commanders are like, we got all the money. We can literally go get any player in the league we want. The difference is, well, honestly, Drake May I don't think is bad. I think some people don't like Drake May at all. I watched Drake May play a handful of times. I thought he was more than solid. I can clearly see upside. He throws a pretty good deep ball. He looks a little erratic. You could pressure him, but he's young too. I think he's compared to Jaden. That's not really a fair comparison, but nonetheless, the Patriots don't have any receivers. All the receivers are young or just not very good. So Tyreek going to them makes sense. It's a divisional rival, but it's a bad team. So it's like even if we give you our best player, you're not gonna be better. So now there's a new report trickles out there that Tyreek to the Bills. This makes on the field way more sense. One, Buffalo has no wide receiver 1. Shout out to Amari Cooper. It's over. It's over, dog. Like, he can still get open in short bursts, but the speed's not there. Hands are still solid, but he's not the Amari that we knew. That guy's gone. So Amari's not there. Dalton Kincaid was underwhelming this year. Dawson Knox is okay. Mac Hollins, Miami, Castaway, okay. Like, they got a lot of okay guys. I think Shakir has upside, but he's not wide receiver 1. Wide receiver 3, maybe. They don't have a clear number 1. They think the tight ends are okay. They have a great running back. But they got another dude on the outside that can, one, stretch the defense because Josh has, I think, the biggest arm in the league. I think, we thought Mahomes for a long time. I think Josh is the biggest arm in the league. So you have a quarterback that can legit throw at 70 and the stress that will put on the defense. Because the Bills' offensive line is more built to run block. They're just big guys that just kind of maul you. That's part of the reason why Cook had such a great year. But if you got Tyreek Hill stressing the defense deep all the time, then defenses back up even further. Which means now we're already great at running the ball. You saw what they did against Baltimore and even partly against the Chiefs. We can run the ball. So now if you're already further back in defense and you're not stacking the box, now the run game gets even better. Now Cook is getting swing passes. He's handing the ball off. Josh is doing RPOs. The offense really opens up. It makes a lot of sense. And then the moment you have to bring someone down in the box and you possibly single up Tyreek, ghost. He's out of here. And Josh can let that boy go 75. And that makes a lot of sense on the field. I don't know about the finances. I haven't looked into Buffalo's cap situation. Part of the reason why Stephon Diggs left and part of the reason why Poyer was available and other guys and Micah Hyde and other guys in the secondary weren't there is because they didn't want to pay everybody. And so they're paying the offensive line well. They're paying Josh well. They're paying a couple of defenders well. I don't know if they have the cap to make it work. They may have to do more cap casualty kind of situations. But if there's a possibility of getting him to Buffalo, I don't know what Buffalo's doing. I'm making a move because they've lost to the Chiefs 4 times in the playoffs, and I don't know what they can do more with this iteration of their team. They lost with Stephon Diggs, without Stephon Diggs. They lost at home, on the road, second round, AFC Championship. They've lost everywhere you can imagine to this team, and they don't seem to be they're not going to fire McDermott. It doesn't seem like. He seems like he's pretty safe. Josh is obviously not going anywhere. So what do we do? And also they made two draft day trades with the Chiefs, and it's only made the Chiefs a better team. So it's like you keep trading with the team you're trying to beat. And that's why Xavier Worthy is on the Chiefs and not Buffalo. That literally was Buffalo's pick. They said, "Oh, we're going to draft a wide receiver," and the Chiefs are like, "We want a wide receiver too, Buffalo." And Buffalo's like, "Oh, cool, you want the guy we were looking at?" And they're like, "Would you trade the pick to us?" And Buffalo was like, "Yeah, you're better than us and just won a championship. Why wouldn't we do that?" They traded the pick. Chiefs got Xavier Worthy. The Bills got Keon Coleman later. Worthy, game breaker, fastest guy in the league. Keon Coleman, couple catches, big body. But they could have had Worthy. Literally, it was their pick. So I don't think Buffalo's averse to trading with people in division, same conference and all that. It will really just be up to Miami, if we would get a package back that would make any sense. But this on the field makes sense. It'll be great for Tyreek. He'll go from basically Mahomes to Josh, which is what are we talking about? I don't see the super value for Miami unless Buffalo gives up a lot. But if you're trying to make a splash and you're trying to make something happen, then I think it's something that would be interesting to see. I don't want to see it because Buffalo is already much better than Miami. We don't need to get them Tyreek too and just be like, all right, you're going to win by 40 a game. We don't need that. Moving on. So this happens in a lot of cities, I'm sure, but in Miami, there's a little mini pipeline between the main university and then the pro team that is there. So we've had guys like Jalen Phillips, guys like Lamar Miller back in the day, guys like Olivier Vernon who went to the University of Miami and then played for the Dolphins, Braxton Berrios, those kind of guys. And so what's good because, one, you can kind of get extra eyes on a guy because they're playing kind of in your city, so you can you can be around a little bit more. You can talk to the coaches more personally, get a little bit more insight on the player. And also, for the player, what a great situation that you don't have to move for, right? If you go to, let's say you go to Colorado, you play for the Buffs, and then all of a sudden it's hey, the Broncos are calling you. It's yeah, you're not in the same city, but your family can go to the games. Because that's a big thing for a lot of kids, too, when they go from college to the pros. It's if you go to USC and you get drafted by the Patriots, I'm so my family's got to fly cross country for my home games. That's a lot of stuff. But when it's hey, it's a drive and we can just pull up, that's a phenomenal situation. So the Hurricanes had a very solid season. I mean, Cam Ward was great. He's going to go 1, 2, or 3 probably in the draft. We're not getting Cam Ward. No, so don't get excited. I'm not putting even Cam Ward on the thumbnail. That's not happening. Barring, I don't know, Cam Ward had to get accused of 17 felonies and maybe he'll fall. But the Hurricanes have a number of players that are solid that would fit in places for Miami. So on the line, they have Jalen Rivers, and Jalen Rivers is a guard and a tackle. He played both positions at various times, like just based on need. And if you saw the Hurricanes play this year, their own line was dominant. They were just moving people. I mean, Cam Ward would just be in the pocket, looking around, sipping a Mai Tai, just living his life. He had a lot of time to throw the ball. And Jalen he was all ACC a couple different times at different positions. So he's a versatile lineman. And we know Miami has tremendous O-line needs, just tremendous. And so being able to play guard and tackle is great because we don't think we need a tackle right now, but Armstead could leave. We know we need a guard, so it's like it's a fit either way. But we can move you around, and because you've played both. It's not like you got to learn a new position. I think that would be awesome. They have Damian Martinez, our running back, 6 foot, about 230, just a bruising kind of back. And if you watch Miami had 2 running backs, but Damian was like smash mouthing people, and he's not highly touted to go like probably in the first 4 rounds. So I could see 5th, 6th round Damian still being on the board, and he's faster than you think. He's physical, and again, he's a local kid, which I think would be fantastic. And again, it'll be like a low financial risk, but I think he has really high upside. He seems like a dude that if you give him the right carries, he can really be something. And the last one, I don't know if this is going to work, but I think it could, is Elijah Arroyo. I think he's going to be gone probably in the first 2 rounds. 3rd round at most. Super athletic tight end. He actually plays a little bit like Jonnu Smith. And as we've seen 2 tight end sets, we saw with the Patriots with Gronk and he who should not be mentioned on this podcast because I don't want to get shut down. When you have 2 tight ends, you can go to his 22 set where like the Ravens do this a lot, where they had Isaiah Likely and then Mark Andrews. And so you can keep them both in for run blocking. You can send both on routes. You can send one for blocking, one for route. It just changes how you scheme an offense. And if both can really receive, it really opens things up. Jonnu is obviously in the Pro Bowl, so that's fantastic. You get another young, athletic tight end on the other side. And tight ends usually occupy the middle of the field, and that's where Tua's best at throwing. So it fits Tua's strengths, and it makes the offense more diverse. So you can get into your running pass sets without having to go to obvious trips, which is 3 receivers on one side, formations, or that kind of thing. You get both tight ends in. People think, oh, that's a run formation. Nah, they're both going in routes, and they're both good at getting open. So I think both could work. It's unlikely he'll be there for us unless the Dolphins reach for him. But the other 2, keep your eye out for them. Hometown kids, let's keep them in the city, all right? But as always, thank you guys for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. I hope you enjoyed it. We're loving the support, the subs, the likes, all that good stuff. Keep the momentum up. Keep the friends and family there. If you want us to talk about anything in particular, let us know in the comment section. We'll get right on that. But as always, we'll see you next time. Peace.